Hi everyone, I wanted my first review to be one that I was really excited about, so I purposely held off for Suicide Squad. What did I think? Well, let's take a look. And welcome back to the heart of the stories we tell, a series where I spend way too much time thinking about what makes a story. And today's episode is Suicide Squad. So 3 hours ago I got in line to see Suicide Squad, and overall I'm going to give it a silver rating. Having said that, I have already heard that other people have been giving it some crap. I have to say, there's a little bit of meh in there. I did want to go see a good movie and ended up with what I can only describe as awesome set pieces with a handful of beats thrown in between each. However, if you're a comic book fan, or if you know the Suicide Squad, or hell, if you just really like comic book movies, it's worth watching. It's a fun romp, there's lots of action, and most importantly, they get several character beats right in just the ways that you need to tug at the heartstrings. But we'll talk about that more in spoilers. If you've seen the trailers, or if you've ever watched any military or horror movie, you're going to pick up on a lot of these beats as they're coming in. To be honest, there's not a lot of surprises. If you saw the trailer, you have a pretty good idea how the story goes. But it's a fun story to watch, and there are some amazing set pieces in there. So again, if you have the chance, go see it. As much as I'm not someone to push that whole conspiracy theory about Marvel paying off the critics, there is part of me that wonders, did the critics see the same movie I did? So again, Rotten Tomato scored down in the heaps, but pretty good movie. And I'm going to start watching other reviews now that I've seen it, see exactly what it is people picked up on that they didn't like that I did, because obviously there was something. However, let's talk about what this means for the DC universe in the movie. Going forward, we're going to have to look at the fact that point blank these movies are not being reviewed as well as others are. We're going to have to blame someone. I'm sure that there's a lot of people that are going to say it's Snyder's fault, plus a bunch of people that are going to say it's David Ayer's fault. Personally, I blame Jeff Johns, because, well, buck stops at the top, and he's supposed to be the creative, the guy that knows everything about comics. On the other hand, I think that maybe these comics aren't transferring as well to the screen because there's just not enough time being put into them. This movie had a lot of potential that was kind of left on the wayside, and partially I get the feelings that that's John's rushing these things to theaters. Before I go into the spoiler section, I will just say there is an after-credits scene, well, mid-credit scene, that you should stick around for that sets up how the extended universe is going from here. But with that, stop! Spoiler time! Dun-dun-dun. Alright, I won't sing. Okay, so let's talk about story. Specifically, like Batman v Superman, this wasn't a direct adaptation of one story, but an amalgam of several very good Suicide Squad stories. The one that a lot of people are going to be talking about in the next coming days is going to be Odyssey. Now, that was more of a Nightshade story, but it's still basic plot, very much reminiscent of this. In fact, I would have to say, that's probably one of the comics that they've really pulled from. Having said that, they took a lot of twists and turns and brought a more modern crew in for the squad than they had back then, and I don't mind that. Overall, it hit beat for beat everything that a nice Suicide Squad run should. However, where it really excelled was the characters. First off, because this is spoiler section, let me just say the Flash was awesome. He's the one that took down Boomerang at the beginning. It was a very quick cameo, but I'm already seeing where the Justice League is going to be a lot of fun with him. So then on to the squad itself, and what a merry band of misfits we have. First of all, the whole team is dysfunctional, and I love it. And up first is Harley Quinn, who has what I think is one of the best lines in the movie. Normal is just a setting on the dryer, hun. Now, they took some liberties with Harley Quinn. She was super sexy and super awesome, although first, my very first compliment to Margot Robbie, halfway through the movie, I forgot how gorgeous she was. Just completely lost in this insane character that was a ton of fun, and you have to listen closely to just about everything she says, because everything has a hidden meaning with this character. If there was a breakaway star, it was by far Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. However, those liberties I told you about come with her connection to the Joker. Joker has always been played as a psychopath, and Jared Leto does a great job. Maybe because he is a psychopath, according to some people. I don't know. At the end of the day, the big thing they changed is the fact that the two of them are in love with each other. These are not a hurt individual who's snapped on to Joker. This isn't a badly bruised Harley Quinn who's kind of stuck. No, this is a Bonnie and Clyde, Joni loves Chachi type connection between these two. And you know what? I kind of dig it. Jared Leto's opening scenes with Joker terrified me in that just how realistic it was. How much I could see this mob boss, this gangster, being able to pull this stuff off with a flair for the dramatic. And Harley Quinn completely and totally sells just how much they're in love. And from there, let's talk to who brings the whole group together. When Harley Quinn first sees Waller, she asks if she's the devil. There's part of me that by the end of the movie thinks no, the devil would be nicer. Waller is everything you love to hate about an anti-hero. She's tough, she's powerful, she obviously got where she was through not so nice things, but she's also still sort of the hero of the story. She really is trying to put things in place to be the hero. Just she's going about it in the most dastardly ways. Now, on a personal note, some of my favorite scenes from the comics and cartoons are when she threatens Batman, and double spoiler alert, the end credit scene is her doing something very similar. Ben Affleck and her sitting across the table, talking about something, and she tells him point blank, "You know what? You look tired, Mr. Wayne. Maybe you should stop working nights." Then on to Enchantress. I think everyone pretty much guessed she was going to be the villain of the story. Well, one of the antagonist? Yeah, I guess we're going to go with antagonist of the film. But at the end of the day, I think that we really missed a lot of opportunity. Some of the best scenes were her transformation scenes. I love this portrayal of Enchantress. I love the fact that they went right into magic with no, oh, it might be science. No, they just jumped right in. Welcome to magic. An immortal Egyptian or immortal Aztec or immortal whatever. No, everything is on the table in the DC Extended Universe. And that really bought me some extra points on loving this movie. I will say her magical powers were amazing special effects, and some of the best set pieces were based on it. Will Smith, like always, knocks it out of the park. His version of Floyd Lawton definitely was the Floyd Lawton I'm familiar with in the comics, especially since the 90s when they introduced the idea of the daughter. I love the whole character arc and character growth he goes through. There's part of me that thinks that he himself deserves his own Deadshot movie. Slipknot, also known as Sir, not appearing in this movie. I mean, seriously, was there anyone that didn't know his head was getting blown off first? And then on to Flag. I really was afraid Flag was not going to make it through this movie. But I have to say, he did an amazing job. I really bought the conflicted, hey, I want to be the good soldier, I want to be the hero, but I also do bad things. Him and Will Smith played off each other perfectly. In fact, that's the movie I want to see. Forget Suicide Squad 2. I want to see Deadshot and Flag, just the two of them doing a secret agent thing. Killer Croc was good, but was left with not a lot to do. El Diablo was amazing, on the other hand. I really felt for him. Part of the storyline involves the fact that they do flashbacks to who they were before, and El Diablo has just as crushing and awesome and heart-rending story as any of the others. In fact, I'd honestly say, short of Harley Quinn and Deadshot, he may have come off as the star of this show. Katana didn't have a lot of screen time, and she didn't have a lot of lines. In fact, I would normally label her barely more than a cameo, but everything she did was powerful, and she was obviously very needed in this story. I hope that what happened was that we ended up with some cutting room floor scenes from her, because I'd like to see more, and I have to say, moving forward in the DCU, I'm hoping to see a lot more of her. However, that brings us down to Boomerang, the person who I don't want to see any more of. You know what? Jay Courtney did a great job. He was funny. He was the comic relief. The story would have worked just as well without him. There's a scene where he leaves the squad and then comes back, and they don't even say anything. Like, there was no plot point to him actually coming back. There was no growth. There was nothing. All in all, out of the 11 characters that I would say really count as main characters in here, the only 3 that fell flat were Boomerang, who was the worst, and Croc, who was, well, he was Croc, so I can't give him too much crap for, and Slipknot, who might as well not have even shown up for this movie. Who were the standout stars? El Diablo, Deadshot, and Harley Quinn. Who do I want to see more of? I want to see more of almost all of them, just not Boomerang. And you want to know the truth? I even want to see more Waller. I want to see everything flow forward, and this was fun. I would sit through it again. There were a couple themes I wanted to touch on, specifically family and loved ones and your spot in the world, which is, of course, a personal favorite of mine. And you know what Suicide Squad does that great in the comics, in the cartoons, and now in the movie? We have a cross story. We have Deadshot and his daughter. We have Harley Quinn and Joker. We have El Diablo and his family. We even have Katana and her husband for the short period they're on Street Green together. And all in all, it's all about what do we do for the loved ones that we have. And the Enchantress Rick Flag thing just tied the whole thing together in one nice bow. I guess at its heart, Suicide Squad is a love story. Well, a bunch of love stories about dysfunctional people. And all of a sudden I'm flashing back to Margot Robbie's line, "Normal's just a setting on the dryer, hun." And that has a great payoff later on in the movie, too. All in all, I'd have to say that a rating of silver is about right for this. It's a good movie, but it's not a great movie. It's a fun movie, and it definitely is building my excitement for more Justice League, more Wonder Woman, more just everything DCU. But see, I'm also a DC fanboy. I like the comic books. I'm a comic book reader. And as we go through this, I need to think that through too. So I took my sister to see this, and she could follow it, and she understood it, and even though she didn't catch the Easter eggs I did, she did think it was a pretty good movie. I'm sure a lot of reviewers are going to talk about a lot of Easter eggs that were in it. There's only one I really want to point out, and that's the name of the building that Waller's in at the end when they get there, the Ostringer building, because that's John Ostringer, the guy who brought the Suicide Squad back in the 80s, made the team pretty much what we know of it today, and who created everything that this movie is based on. And as such, big thumbs up to him. As we walk through the heart of the stories we tell, I want to review a lot of movies like this. There's part of me that says I'm going to review every comic book movie that comes out. At least I'm going to try. So why don't you go down into the comment section and tell me what you think I got right and wrong. Is there something particular I missed? Something that I could have told you guys before the spoilers to help you make your decision? Or something that I should have said during the spoilers after you've seen the movie that you're like, "Oh, how did he not mention this? Best scene ever." We'll talk about it. And this is a growing experience, and again, this is as much for me as it is for you. As a writer, I think that I learned a bit from Suicide Squad. The music overlaying the dialogue really hurt the film. It was good, but soundtracks really do better in the background, except during montages. And I honestly think that one more pass over this script would have made it a gold movie instead of a silver one. I think just a little more character dynamic. Maybe a reason for Boomerang to be there. Those little bits here and there. And I hope that I've learned my lesson and that so have other writers for having listened to this. In the meantime, just subscribe or follow my channel, or you can find me on Facebook or Twitter if you want to hear more of my insane ramblings, as I spend way too much time figuring out what is and isn't part of a story. I hope you all have a good night, and I hope you all enjoyed my review of Suicide Squad.